Hi there and welcome back to Artisan Upholstery Studio. It's me, Amy, and today I'm going to answer your questions about bias cut piping. When do you have to use it and when don't you have to use it?
So let's explain what bias piping is. Normally, you would be cutting your piping in the same direction that you're cutting the rest of your fabric. But with bias piping, you're cutting it on a 45-degree angle across the roll. And what that does is it gives the piping a little bit more give and stretch.
Now this chair represents the 3 times you might find it easier to use bias cut piping. It's got double piping trim going around severe curves. It has a curved seat cushion and it's velvet. So there are shading changes that might be diminished when you cut on a bias.
You may have noticed recently that I've been posting more videos, and that is thanks to your support. By liking the videos, commenting on them, and subscribing to my channel, you're showing me that you want more videos. So I'm going to make my double piping trim to go along this very severe curve. Now the drawback, of course, of doing piping on a bias is that it wastes a lot of fabric. Now gluing the double piping along these severe curves is slightly easier when it's on the bias. I mean, it's never easy to go around these curves, but it does make it a little less wobbly looking when it's cut on the bias. You can also see here that the shading difference on the double piping, because it goes all up and down and around those curves, and there's no way to make it perfect and the same all the way around, but because it's cut on a 45 instead of straight across, you're never going to have a piece that is truly upside down on the velvet. So the shading differences when you see it from the front, it doesn't look as severe as it would if I had cut it straight across the roll. And that's true of severe patterns as well. You don't really want it to show up on the double piping if it can't match the pattern of the chair. So next I'm going to sew this cushion. The cushion panels are going to be cut regular across the roll. The border is going to be cut across the roll, but the piping is going to be cut on the bias. Now you still do want to pay attention to the nap of the piping because it will have some direction even though it was cut on the diagonal. And you want to make sure that it's the same on the top and the bottom of the border. Here you can see that there are no real shading changes even though it was cut on the bias. And here's our curved foam, which we will rewrap with new bonded polyester, but this shows you the curves of the cushion. So when we put the boxing on the cushion, we can see that it lays nice and straight already. There's no waffling of that piping, which can happen when you cut it on curves. Always snip when you're going around curves because that will allow the boxing to lay much flatter and nicer on the curved cushion. I do always staple the boxing on before I sew it. And yes, I do always remove those staples because when you're filling your cushion, they will snag your fingertips. Believe me, they will. So here's the finished cushion. It looks great. There's no wobbliness of the piping. It's nice and straight, and there are no shading changes.
If you want to see this and all my finished projects, head on over to my Instagram page where I post all my finished projects. Thanks for watching.